Avi Meyers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web, www.ntnm.org. Check us, all our shows are on YouTube, close to 200,000 watches, even though the first 15 years of the show aren't there. But hey, technology marches on. What can you do? So community policing, we're real big on that, caps24.org. We urge you to go to your community policing meetings. This new superintendent is making more noise about being community policing friendly, and we might actually have a slight increase in police officers on beats as well as community policing. We don't know for sure. Matter of fact, you'll stay tuned. In about a week or two, we'll have Deputy Chief Bruce Ratner on, and he'll fill us in a little more about what's going in along those lines. It is a pleasure to introduce you to somebody who's been on the show before, somebody who's got a very good reputation, and speaking of community policing, he happens to be a judge, and that's what part of what community policing all about is, there's court watch in the court. By the way, in the 24th district, court watch, guys like Rick Jones and Sonny Hirsch and Ed Smith, really good guys, and they could use your help. I want to introduce you to a sitting judge right now, Judge James Shapiro. How you doing?
Good, Avi. Thanks for having me on again.
First of all, my pleasure, and thank you. Where are you presently sitting?
I'm currently assigned to the 4th Municipal District in Maywood, Illinois. We call it Maybrook, I guess because it's on the border of Maywood and Brookfield. So some people call it Maywood, some people call it Maybrook. Just don't call us late for dinner. So, and we're off today actually because the electricity was out after the storms last night. So we got a snow day or an electricity day today.
So I can't quite say the plug was pulled because the plug, even if the plug was in, it wouldn't operate.
You got it.
So what kind of cases do you usually handle, or are you moved around?
Yeah, I am moved around a little bit, but mostly criminal. I do about 90% criminal, I'd say, and I sub in civil maybe about 2 or 3 times a month. So I'm a little bit of a pinch hitter, but mostly felonies and misdemeanors, bond court.
Interesting. And is there a lot of it? Do the cases specifically come from that area, or?
They do. They come from the western suburbs. Berwyn, Cicero. We have Berwyn and Cicero, which are big jurisdictions. Oak Park, Maywood, Bellwood, Forest Park, Franklin Park, Schiller Park, all the parks, Forest Park.
Also, at one time, we actually could have had Al Capone in an earlier decade.
We could have, yeah, that's true. I don't know that Maybrook was built yet, but he would have been within our jurisdiction. That's right.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, what interests you? So, you obviously, tell us a little bit about your background. Obviously, you were a lawyer before you became a judge.
I was for 22 years, including about 6 as a federal prosecutor, as an assistant U.S. attorney for about 6.5 years here in the Northern District of Illinois in Chicago, and I was with a couple of larger firms before that, and I was solo and with some smaller firms after that. So 22 years total, and some pretty varied experience, civil and criminal. And
big law firms. Yeah, you're going to see a whole range of things. So, how does that translate into being a judge?
Well, I think it's, I draw on my experience all the time in being a judge. I think it's very important, and thank goodness I had that experience in being a judge, because I don't know what I'd do without it, especially having both civil and criminal experience. So,
is this something you've wanted to do, or?
I have. I've wanted to do it for quite some time. Since the furthest back I can remember is 1988, about 3 years out of law school. I ran into a woman on the campaign trail who asked me if I had any political ambitions of my own, and I thought about it for a second. I said, maybe a judge or something. So she told me to be a good one, and I told her I would. So I'm trying right now.
Very good. Very good. How long have you been a judge?
About 4 years now. 4 years. It'll be 4 years in August. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And my dad was a judge. My dad just retired after 31 years on the bench out east where I grew up. So
wow.
I guess my dad was part of my inspiration too for wanting to be a judge. Sure.
Wow, that's very nice. Now you're in the 8th subcircuit.
I am. I am. The lakefront.
Actually, we were talking before about you wanted to give your own narrative. So you want to narrate, or
about the 8th subcircuit?
Whatever you like. Whatever you would like.
Mm-hmm. I'm running for judge in the 8th subcircuit. I call it the greater lakefront area, because if I just say the lakefront, then people think just Lakeshore Drive and the high-rises along Lakeshore Drive, but it really encompasses more than that. It goes all the way from Chinatown on the south all the way up to Edgewater on the north. The northern boundary is basically Arthur Avenue, just north of Devon, and the western boundary is usually Ashland Avenue or 1600 West, north of Fullerton, and then south of Fullerton, it becomes roughly the Chicago River. So it's a very long, densely populated district, actually the subcircuit, actually the smallest subcircuit geographically in the county, but also I think the most populous, or one of the most populous.
It's extremely dense. You're looking at all the high-rises all along Lakeshore Drive downtown, and even the near south side now.
It is, yes. South Loop is ours, Printers Row, the Loop, all of them. There's a lot of people living in the Loop now. So
yeah, no, even around Roosevelt Road. I mean, when I used to park for a Bears game, there's 50 and 60-story buildings where there used to be flop houses.
There's some pretty big high-rises down there, including that one tower just south of Roosevelt Road there. Exactly. It's getting very dense down there.
No, gigantic. Yeah. So I mean. So okay, you in order to become right now you're an associate judge. Is that how it works?
Actually, no, I'm not an associate judge. Not now, anyway.
Oh.
I am a circuit judge, a full circuit judge, but sitting by interim appointment or sitting by appointment of the Illinois Supreme Court. I was appointed to an interim vacancy back in 2007. Which I ran for and unfortunately did not succeed, but I was reappointed twice by the Illinois Supreme Court after that, and so I'm planning to give it one more college try again in 2012 to try to win a seat outright.
And hopefully this will work. By the way, even though I'm not allowed to say names, I do want to tell you that I do have for those of you who are familiar with Jewish Chicago and our judicial interviews, you know that I've got a panel of judges and top-notch legal minds. I never pick people myself. I mean, they're the ones that do the picking for me, which sometimes gets my friends mad at me if they think they're going to get picked. I'm not the one that does the picking. But, you know, I've heard extraordinarily good things about Judge Shapiro's, legal temperament, his, his knowledge and all the rest of it, and in his general overall. I'm sure when the bar ratings come out, you're going to probably score extremely well.
Well, I hope so. From your mouth to to God's ears, obviously.
Yeah, no, well, actually, like I said, the person who specifically recommended you actually has highest qualified type ratings, and he thinks the world of your ability.
That's very flattering because I think the world of his, and I think he's going to make an excellent judge someday.
He will, and hopefully he'll be in the right position to do it. So
I hope so too.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I guess you're not really allowed to campaign. So,
well, I actually have been campaigning since.
Right. I mean, not the same way that a person would do for alderman or state.
Oh, I see. No, our rules are a little bit different. But I have.
Yeah, you actually have to be civil.
We have to be civil, and although I've been going to a lot of criminal meetings, CAFS meetings, I've done a lot of community work and been going to CAFS meetings talking about court advocacy with my own experiences with court advocacy, and I was a court advocate myself, and the court advocates came out and supported me and my daughter when we were assaulted by a tow truck driver, and
wow.
I'm convinced that their support led to a conviction of the tow truck driver. So I'll always remember that experience, and I think it was a very important experience to be a court advocate and to be supported by court advocates. So
it is important, and I've done a little bit of it, not as much as Sonny by any. Let's put it this way: I've done this much, and Sonny's done like 50,000 times more. But your name actually came up over at when we were having our monthly meeting of the District Advisory Committee of the 24th District Police Department. Rick Jones was telling us that somebody came to his meeting, which 2430, I'm not good at the exact numbers, 32, I believe it is, and was telling us that they were, that a judge spoke to them about the importance of court advocacy, and I heard your name. So my ears perked up right away, and he was talking about, how great it was. And I mean, I'm not in the 8th Subcircuit, or first of all, I should invite you to come anyway to our CAPS meeting. But,
I'd be honored.
Yeah, I think it's a great. People don't understand how important it is. You got something bad happening in your neighborhood. You want to stop it before it gets worse. You really do. Like right now, we had some Latin King graffiti get up. The citizens are involved. The citizens are willing to do something. It's going to make a difference. There's been a lot of arrests. The graffiti isn't up right now. If people get involved, they can make a difference. They really can.
I agree, and that's why community policing works. I think you got to nip it in the bud, and without being an advocate for one side or the other, I think community policing is a tried and true strategy. And I know the funding has been cut back recently, although our new mayor apparently has talked about reinstating some of the funding for it, but it is very important to get the community involved, and the community has been enthusiastically involved in a lot of the CAPS meetings that I've attended, and I'm telling them about a way to get even further involved by being part of court advocacy, by going to court to support the victims, and that's just another way to get involved.
And that's another good example. I mean, that's going to help make society a better place. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I hope so. I hope so. That's the idea. Society, less crime is better. Less is more.
Less is definitely more, in that way too. Maybe you won't have to quite work 8, 10-hour days. Maybe it'll be 7 or 8. In any event, at this point, we should probably ask you for your contact information.
Well, thank you, Avi. You can contact me at judgeshapiro@gmail.com, and my website address is www.judgeshapiro.org.
So anyway, Judge James Shapiro, we want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
Running for the 8th Sub-Circuit. We'll definitely get you back on closer to the election, and we want to wish you a lot of luck. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Avi.